What is going on, everyone? It's your boy Phil Shocker, the 96 Hedgehog here, and we are here for our first major speed tour video. Basically, I'm going to go over my run that I did in a speed tour done in the JDDL, hosted by my good friend John Jr. If you guys haven't checked him out, definitely check him out in the link down below, where you can actually watch the stream that he did of the speed tour, where he also participated. Unfortunately, the stream went way longer than he was expecting, but let's just say, things happened and, we went past it. We all had a great time and we all sent some amazing battles. I had a phenomenal run in this one. I figured I want to upload this to you because this was a really impressive team that I drafted for this speed tour. And I'm really proud of my run and I'm really proud how I played. So I figured, what, you guys can get some content here that, the UMPL, you're not going to be able to see that until after Christmas, which, by the way, happy holidays will probably be the last video we upload. And then we'll take a little bit of a mini break from Christmas. And then once we get to the week 9 game of the UMPLD League, then you guys can have that in your sub boxes. But with that being said, though, let's talk about the JJDL draft speed tour that we did. But before that, if you guys can, hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't already, join the Phil Shocker crew today because you'll be feeling with the king of the crew. With that being said, let's get into this video. So I had 12 pick out of 16 coaches we did for the speed tour. Low key, maybe should have split it up. Would have made it a little easier, just saying. But I had 12 pick, and I knew I wasn't getting anything incredibly broken that I really wanted. Like, I wasn't getting Gorging Fire. I didn't want to go super early on some of the newer Mons, and a little bit of a spoiler, I really didn't draft anything newer besides Mons that were returning, which is a little upset because I really wanted to try some stuff. Um, Even the Mons that were returning, I want to try, but it's what it is. But I had 12 pick, and I wanted to go with some stuff that got buffs, and I also want to go with some familiar faces I haven't used in a very long time. And first Pokemon I grabbed was actually Great Tusk. Now, I grabbed Tusk, even though I did say in OGDL it was probably one of my weakest Mons. I wanted to give it another chance because I got Temper Flare and Supercell Slam, which were the fire and electric moves that got introduced in the DLC for the Indigo Disc. And I overall felt like when I did that Showdown Live, I felt like I really knew how to use Tusk perfectly well in that one. So I was thinking to myself, you know what? Why not give Tusk one more try? Let's try this one out, see if I really want to use it in a future draft. And I freaking love this Pokemon. It's a really good Mon. It's one of the best typings. Ground Fighting is very hard to switch into every single time of the matter. And yeah, it's really phenomenal. To pair it up, I went with Necrozma that came back. Necrozma is actually a Pokemon I've used in my own personal in-game team that I've made up, and I've actually been pretty much dominating. Like, I've only lost like once or twice total for how many battles I've done. I think I'm like 8-2, 9-2 maybe with it. And Necrozma's on this team, and I used some of my tried and true Necrozma sets from there. But Necrozma's just a really good Mon. Now, it lost the access to boost speed with Atomizer and Rock Polish, which is very unfortunate for it, but it's still a phenomenal Pokemon, and it really performed well. A lot of cool defensive sets were really creative with this Mon, and I am very looking forward to using this thing in the future of draft, which is awesome. Up next, we grabbed Weavile. I know I'm actually currently using Weavile in a Wi-Fi league right now, and Weavile there, it's been okay, but nothing too stellar performance-wise. But I felt like, you know what? Weavile's still there. It's one of the best Necrozma answers I have out there. And it's also going to be a decent Tusk answer if it gets a prediction right. Or if my Tusk gets weakened down, I can't really beat it unless I'm Scarfed. So Weavile, I also need some elite speed on this team. Weavile was one of those things I really wanted on the board, and was another Pokemon I wanted to get back to and try and have some fun with. I absolutely love Weavile. One of my favorite Gen 4 Pokemon. It is so strong, especially in Axel back now. It's back to its glory Gen 8 days, and it's now going to be seeing more resurgence back in the draft scene, which is really awesome. Up next, I decided to grab my Terra Captain, and I grabbed Flygon. Now, I have not used Flygon in so many years. I think the last time I ever used Flygon was literally back in Gen 7. I don't think I ever got a chance to touch it in Gen 8. I mean, I might have touched it in Gen 8, but it was like one time. But I've never really used Flygon in years. And I wanted the opportunity to use Flygon, and plus, I think this is going to be an amazing Terra Captain in this generation. I think Flygon is really going to rise up as a premier dragon that's going to be used in Draft League, which I think is really awesome. I went with Fairy and Steel. Fairy and Steel were really good offensive, but also could play very good defensive typings in the same matchup. It was defensive typing in case I wanted to be able to check certain things and be able to deal with them, but it was also really good offensively, so it can help offensively pressure a lot of teams as well. Flygon's a very good comfort pick for me, and I really love Flygon. It has some versatility. I actually went a little more creative with Flygon than I normally do. These speed tours actually make you really kind of think outside the box, which is really awesome. Grabbed Ultra True Azu. Azu definitely was a great mon for me in a Wi-Fi league, and it was actually almost in the top 5, if not yet the top 5 for kill leaders. And it was just a mon that I feel like I knew how to pick up and play with. and just really knew how to do well with. So I was very comfortable with Zazu. It gave me a really good defensive water, but also a really good fairy to pair with my team, which I think was really, really important. Especially since I went with a team that did not have a fairy resist on this team, which I think was really important. Up next, Retrograph Surf was a decently defensive grass up on the board, and I think depending on what people sometimes will grab, Surf can kind of counteract a lot of things out there, and Surf can play a very good thing. Now, this obviously was Terra banned because it was priced at 11. Only a Pokemon that were 10 and below could Terra. There were a few Mons in 11 that could Terra, but they were like niche Mons like a Moongiz, Klefki, Clodsire. The only Mandibuzz and Milotic, the only scary one would have been maybe Milotic, but even then, just defensive Mons you're not going to waste your time tearing. And so Superior was really, really good at that. So again, more speed, which I think was really important for my draft, as I did not have a fast team. And I did kind of mess it up with the speed tier when I grabbed up the Strikeout because I think that really messed it up. I was very low on points by this time. I think I had only enough to get like 10 Mons, I think, 10 points or something like that. I had to pick up 3 Mons. I think I basically went with I think a 4, 4, and a 3. I'm pretty sure that's how I went with. So Zeb, it gave me electric immunity, which was really good, and also electric type because I really wanted electric type in this team. I think I wanted to go more towards Electivire, but I didn't have any special mons. And even though this thing is more primarily physical, it definitely can play off its special very well, which I think is really nice. And again, it gave me another grass, along with Ozzy, it gave me grass immunity with Sap Sipper, which I think is really great because it was one of those Pokemon that can really just kind of counter against some of the things it cannot beat and kind of be able to wall some of the things as well. Grabbed a boot. Honestly, grabbed it for Lubario. It was cheap. It's decent fire type. It had okay speed, decent offense. Wasn't anything crazy, but it was still a good fire type to pick up. And Lubario is awesome. And then Drifblim is another defogger along with the Rapid Spin I already have. It's a decent setup sweeper. I have used used Drifblim in a low tier league, and I 6-0'd someone with it with weakness policy. And it's not a bad mod. It's decent. It's not strong. It's not great, but it's overall a fantastic Pokemon. With that being said, though, let's get into our first game here, and I believe it is right here. So that's perfect. So in our first game, we took on Lamau, who had a Roaring Moon, Goldango, Iron Bundle, Kilowatchel, Galarian Weezing, Cyclizar, Vivian, Gallade, and Knucklesack with their Terra Captain being Vivian, which was ground and flying in this matchup. And we are bringing, I believe I am bringing the booster set for TUSK to be speed, so max HP, max speed. Max HP, max speed. We're all running the max speed, max attack Weavile. I believe I was assault vested to be able to actually take a few hits from both the bundle that you can take at least one, and then be able to take on at least 1 or 2 potential hits from the Kilowattrel, and then maybe at least 1 or 2 from the Vivian. I was DD setup, Terra Steel. Flygon. I was originally Terra Fairy because of delayed and stuff, but I realized I have Weezing came into this matchup, which my opponent forgot he had Weezing, which is a little funny, but that's unfortunate. I had nothing to hit it. I checked it, and I think it lost potential steel coverage, so I had to go Terra Steel in this matchup. Reboot had a pretty phenomenal matchup. Like Reboot's coverage was actually pretty perfect for what I was looking for in this matchup. Azu, I think it was assault vested Azu, pretty much mostly in my defenses. I think I had like 4 investment attack with an adamant nature. Just because I wanted to be able. Oh no, that was setup. I was sub 3 attacks with my Azu. Necro, I believe, was weakness policy with Iron Defense, Moonlight, and stuff like that. Give me a second, guys. My throat's a little bit there because I was actually talking during some of my games and also watching my buddy John play. So with that, let's go ahead and just quickly get into the matchup here. I'm gonna probably put this on fast just to be able to get through these for you guys. So I leave my Flygon. I basically get 2 Dragon Dances up here. And I actually go ahead and Terra Steel here because I was predicting a potential flying type move. But they actually revealed to go for the U-turn here. And right here was actually not here. So I go to the Knuckle Sack. I actually go for the Salt Cure instead of getting the Rocks up, which I think was definitely a bit of a misplay. I think personally Rocks would have been better because it punishes Weavile really hard, and it also punishes my Reboot, which you already know I'm not going to be running boots on. So in this situation, I think Rocks were a little bit more fair, but I honestly actually can understand why they went for Soul Cure because they want to make sure they can guarantee get this thing checked. That was also the wrong button. So now he saws I have Earthquake. He went into the Goldango. So 2 things were coming to my mind. Either he was Shook a Berry and he wanted to bait that there, but the thing was, even with Shook a Berry, I did 90 to 105, 110% to him. So it basically came down to a damage roll if I knocked him out. But the part of me was like, you could be baiting me into going for the Earthquake, bring in one of his 2 flying types, and he just basically has the Soul Cure knock me out. I decided to go and make the very hard read, predicting him to make the swap here. He does make the swap, and we're going to go ahead and get rid of his Terra Captain, which is massive for us here. And now he goes into the Ruin. I decided to go for Earthquake. Now, the reason why I went for Earthquake instead of Dragon Claw was two things. One, Earthquake covered a potential chance that he maybe went aggressive into the Goldango, which he could have definitely done. But also to be because I looked at the calc, Earthquake still did kill Rory Moon at that range. And even if he went Kilowatcho, I think he knows I could have made a shot like that again. But at that point in time, I didn't think I really needed to go for that. So they decided to stay in, and apparently had a little bit of HP investment and slight defense investment because they actually were able to take that Earthquake, probably just barely, and they're going to knock us out with a knockoff here, which is very unfortunate. Oh, it's Choppleberry, that's what it was. So we go Raspberry Rabbit here. I'm just going to sub on them instead of going for the. They go for Thunderbolt here, as I'm going to go for the Liquidation and get that -1 off on them, which is really good. They actually turned out to be a bit of a defensive Kilowatcho with Rocky Helmet. They actually go for the Thunderbolt here, trying to knock me out, which I am not going to let them do that because I'm very much Spef. I get a trade off here. Now they go bundled. They're not going to expect me to be Scarf. I go for the high jump kick, knock out the Iron Bundle with a Raboot, which I find is really funny. I go into my dagger now, and I just literally click Ice Shard here. Now I click Knock. They reveal to be Choice Scarf, I believe. I don't remember if I because the crit probably didn't matter. But now I go and reboot. I click Flare Blitz twice, and I basically win the game. But they actually revealed to be Scarf themselves, actually, which is a little unfortunate. But Yabba Dabba Doo comes in here, and I'm just going to click a meaty close combat here, and then pick up the 1-0, 2-0 victory over Lamo or Lemonade. I don't know how he goes with that, so I very much apologize. So, with that, we're going to go ahead and get into the second game here, where we go ahead and take on Coach Smaster, who is literally down there. And Smaster's team is Meowscarada, Annihilate, Corviknight, Kyurem, Dondozo, Comfey, Bishop, Gligar, and Quaxwell with Terra Fairy and Flying Bishop. This was a very hard matchup as I was looking in building. And then I had a really, again, I only had roughly 15-20 minutes to prep this team and had to really think out my plays. So I had to be very aggressive in this matchup. I went with the Sap Sipper, slightly mixed offensive Zep Strike Up with low kick because low kick with the investment I did had enough to 2 KO Kyurem on switching. So, and they actually didn't really Kyurem, which I was very surprised by. I went with a Tailwind Special Flygon with Life Orb. I went with a Weakness Policy. Yeah, I went with a Weakness Policy Necro set. I went with, I believe, the Perish Trap Ozzy set, which I'm going to spoil it. I fuck it up. I go with a Weakness Policy Drifloon set, and I believe I am with another either Booster Speed or, no, I'm Assault Vested Great Tusk. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get into the matchup here. As I relieve my Zeb here, I'm going to go for a Thunder Wave. They actually go for a raw Sucker Punch right here. I went for Thunder Wave because it was a very safe play into anything like this. I go for Low Kick. It's going to show it gets a 2 KO here. And now I'm forced into a play here. And they actually revealed to be Terra Flying instead of Terra Fairy. Now, I personally think Terra Fairy was a better matchup into my team, personally speaking. But I guess Flying was just to be able to make sure they can check Great Tusk. But I feel like that's the same thing you do with Fairy, though. But I guess they realized with having excuse me, having a ground immunity, and also separation from fighting weakness. I guess it did make a little more sense. I probably should have thought it through. I also think I should have just clicked Overheat or Thunderbolt in turn because I was almost tempted to do that. Now, unfortunately, I am forced to sack up Zeb, and unfortunately, they don't get this. I get an Iron Defense off here as they're going for the Terra Blast here, and you're going to see that's going to do nothing to me here. They get another Iron Defense off here. They're going to actually reveal to be Encore Call, and they're going to go for the Calm On here. They get 2 Calm Ons up here, but my boy Great Tusk don't care with that Assault Vest. We go for the Heavy Slam and clean knock out that Comfey. Heavy Slam was like the last move I put on that Great Tusk, by the way. Just because I felt like that was a move that I needed because I knew Comfey was definitely going to come. Comfey was very threatening to my team defensively, and we got set up and going, I really think lost. So they're gonna go for the flower trick, which I think they were Scarf or Choice Banded. I can't really tell what they were. But in comes the Dozo. I'm going for the Whirlpool Perish Trap set here. And this is where I mess it up. Because I was supposed to switch out that turn. I wasn't supposed to stay in. And because of that, that actually put me in a very, very bad position because I sacked off my Azumarill for no reason. And as you can see, I I messed up my turns, which is very, very bad because now that puts me in a more dangerous position against the potentially the Annihilate, and now also trapped in the Meowscarada, which is very, very bad. Azu basically won the game because if this doesn't have U-turn, Azu beats this, beats this, beats this, and I can just guarantee win the game. So I put myself in a very tougher position here. As in comes the Annihilate, I actually go for the Tailwind here as they actually went and swapped out into the Annihilate. as I went for my Terra Fairy on the tailwind there. I do go for a Terra Blast on the Swallow turn, but it was very interesting to wonder why they did that. I think they were potentially fearing Scarf and they want to make the safe play, which definitely makes sense. But I'm going to go for the Terra Blast here, and now I'm going to go for a Flamethrower on this following turn. As they actually reveal not to go for the Iron Head, they have the Brave Bird. I guess they were not respecting the fact that I could have been Terra Fairy in this matchup, which makes a lot of sense. I'm going to Giga Drain here to get some recovery here. Take a little bit of Life Orb Chip again. In comes the Meowscarada. I'm going to actually sack off my Great Tusk here because my Tusk does not win me this matchup anymore, so I'm going to sack that. I'm going to go right in my Drifblim here and actually go for a Calm Mind here. And I believe I go for another Calm Mind as they are actually going to go and get paralyzed. I go for the Thunderbolt as they go for the Sucker Punch and knock me out. They really were very good players here, getting those 50-50s right every time with Sucker Punch. They only messed up on the first one, which is the only one that cost them, and then they got the other Sucker Punch reach perfectly well. So very much props to my opponent. But I'm going to go ahead and get my Tailwind off here as they're not going to get paralyzed again. And now it's all up to Necro here. I actually go for the Iron Defense here. And I decided to go for the Heat Wave here because, for one, I want to get damage off on this thing. Plus, it's going to Flower Trick me. I already have my boost. I know this will screw my boost, but I need it. And we go for the Heat Wave again. Thankfully, don't miss. I definitely think that was also a misplay on my end. I should have just Photon there. Because if I had Photon there, it would have basically guaranteed knocked him out instead of having to risk a Heat Wave miss. Because if I hit Heat Wave miss, that probably would have knocked me down either out or to basically 1% towards this, and Annihilate comes in and knocks me out. But since I'm just boosted and this thing has not done anything to me, I get my Weakness Policy proc, I get to Moonlight up, and that is basically going to be GG to my opponent, and there's nothing else that you're going to be able to do here. And we are going to pick up a very narrow 1-0 victory, very close game to my opponent's master, and we had a really play that end game a lot more carefully, especially since I threw away my Ozzy for absolutely no reason. And now we get to a matchup that is goddamn near impossible for my team to be able to do. So that's very much unfortunate for me. We're taking on Draco, who's someone we face. I think we're one-on-one with each other now in Draft League, but you can see his team. Holy crud, he went for the trifecta and the memes in Venusaur. And I literally have no way to beat this team. There's no way I win this match, but I have to do everything in my power to go through and do what I can. So they have Gorging Fire, Ninetales, Walking Away, Raging Bull, Venusaur, Ambipom, which can Terra into a normal and a ghost type, Hitmontop, Carbink, and Volby. Instantly knew these two weren't coming. There was very mixed marriage for everything to come, but I was expecting the entire these three plus Ninetales, Venusaur, Ambipom, and then probably actually no, that was basically the six I was predicting. But as you're going to see here, he actually opts to not bring the Venusaur, which I am very surprised that he went. Also, this is going to be really bad for me because when I was during the match, I found out I was supposed to have Liquidation on my Azu, but it had Light Screen for some stupid reason. I know for a fact I clicked on Liquidation. And my SERP somehow was the wrong ability. I mean, that one I might have messed up on and forgot about changing that one. But now my SERP is Overgrow with Leaf Storm, and I can't do anything with it. So my SERP now basically becomes useless in this match, which is very unfortunate. Because into this team, under Tailwind, it actually kind of just cooks everything on their team, which is really good. But I am Choice Scarf, both Great Tusk and Weavile, basically outspeed the Venusaur. Under Sun, with Choice Scarf, I do outspeed it with my Great Tusk guarantee. I did run max speed just to be safe with my Great Tusk in this matchup, just because that was what I realistically needed to win. So there was that. I am a Lumberry Necro, I'm pretty sure. Basically set up with Calm Mind and Morning Sun, Earth Power, and Photon Geyser. Assault Vested, a Zoomerl, which now hence the crippleness there. Tailwind with, I believe, a Kebia Berry on my Flygon with Terra Fairy. But the Venusaur not being there amazingly shocked my mind. No Vino now basically puts me in a position where I have a chance to win this match now. Where I felt like I honestly did not have a chance to win this one. It was really looking bad for us here. Also, I'm sorry if you're hearing a lot of noise in the background. My cat is deciding just to want to. So in comes the Amazon. It's going to reveal to be Terra. It's actually going to show that he's Life Orb here. I'm going to go for a Headlong Rush here as they're going to go into the Hitmontop, which reveals to be Technician Hitmontop. They go for the Mach Punch. Not going to do anything much here. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that Hitmontop, which is really good because that was an answer to Weavile, which was really great there. Now, personally speaking, I don't know if you realistically go. I don't really know if you should have sacked Hitmontop there. I guess you were kind of forced to either sack the Ambipom or Hitmontop in that situation. And your other three Paradox Mons are literally your win cons at this point, since you don't have the Venusaur. So I think it made sense to get rid of it at that point. I go to my Norberto. They're going to fake out here. They're basically going to knock me out here. But unfortunately for them, they're actually going for the U-turn, which is not enough to knock me out. I'm able to get a Tailwind up here. And now I'm going to be able to get an Earthquake here. They're going to reveal it to be Sash, which is very unfortunate for me. Which it does tell me this, though. They have no Sun turns. I go in Superior here as I click Dragon Pulse, which is not meant to be a Dragon Pulse play. It was meant to be a Leaf Storm play. But now it's really good for me because I'm going to go for a Dragon Pulse here. They're going for a Dragon Pulse back here. And I go for Protect to see if they're going to be guaranteed to be the Thunder. As they try to go for Thunderclap here. I make a very aggressive Glare play here. And the reason why I went for Glare was two reasons. One, it covers any kind of switching that they want to do here. Plus, if they want to... Because if... I feel like you don't sack your Raging Bolts at all at this point. There's no reason for you to sack it. Also, I definitely made some very big misplays in this matchup. I actually forgot my Tail Glow was up because I was wondering why my Superior was like 600 base speed. I literally forgot my own Tailwind was up, and that right here I'm actually was panicking because like, oh my god, I'm messing up my Tail Glow. I'm messing up my Tailwind strat here now, and now I'm like, oh my god, I'm nervous now. What am I gonna do? Where I should have either just gone Necro to Calm Mind up, or I should have went into Weavile or anything like try to hide the Scarfer still. But I decided to go for a Glare predicting that, but they're not going to let me. They were basically going to let me kill this thing. So I go to my Prisma here, go for Calm Mind here. I'm going to go for the Calm Mind. It's actually revealed to be Healing Wish. I'm glad I went for that. But now they go into the Gorging Fire, and we are able to outspeed and almost knock it out. It was actually a roll to knock them out, actually. They actually just turned out to be Boots, probably, or Boots with defensive build this week, because that's why I actually outspeed no speed invested Gorging Fire, which is pretty funny. I'm very shocked that they were not going for the fire move there. That was a pretty free fire move there. Now, it was a roll depending on what they were. If they were Jolly, I guaranteed lived the hit. If it was Adamant, it came down to a roll, but most likely the roll was heavily in their favor to knock me out with Flare Blitz. Heat Crash, I always lived every single variant, which was really important there. But I do get an Earth Power off, which now basically brings in my Great Tusk. They're going to actually go for the Burning Fire. And I'm going to go for Earthquake. Gun. That was another thing. Also, I didn't think I'd talk about the movesets, but there's nothing I really talk. I actually went double Ground Stab in this matchup for two reasons. One, he had no switches to Ground Stab. I don't count a Volby as a Ground Stab switching. I went for Earthquake primarily as a way to not lower my defenses, but I also went Headlong Rush to go for very strong offensive ground, which I think was really good. And right there, that really saved me. And now the Walking Weight comes in here. I go into Zoomer, which is basically designed to take on this thing. And Healing Wish is such a stupid mechanic, dude. Healing Wish should have just been wasted on the Gorging Fire because the Gorging Fire took damage, right? The Gorging Fire literally took damage, and it should have just gotten the health back from it. But no, the Raikou now comes in, aka the Raging Bolt, and it gets that health back, which I think is such so stupid mechanic. It's really, really dumb. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. But Pokemon's like that sometimes. So I go for the play rough here, as I go for the Dragon Pulse, making a very aggressive play. And they actually revealed to be Roselli Berry. I first thought they were being potentially Assault Vested here. They actually go for the Thunderbolt, and unfortunately, they are going to get the Paralysis, which didn't really matter, as they were still faster than me. But now I'm forced to sack off my Rexu Rabbit here. I'm just going to click Head-On Rush. There is no switching they have on their team. And I'm going to go with my Yaba here. Now I'm going to go ahead and just sack off my Necro. My Necro does not need to be needed to win this match. Basically, I'm deciding that I'm going to win this match with now my Weavile, and I have to play these cards carefully. So I go to my Great Tusk first, and actually go ahead and elect to sack it off at this point. And I have done the calcs. Weavile should always kill Walking Wake at this range, guarantee, and then should always live one fake out from Adamant Max attack, Life Orb, Ambipom, check the calc. It guaranteed kills with knockoff at this range. So we'll go ahead and get rid of Walking Wake. It comes down to this last turn. We thankfully don't get crit, and we are going to knock out the Ambipom right here. We're going to move on to the finals of the game. So that was round 1 from earlier. That was round 2 from the gameplay, and this was semifinals. And actually, we could have faced John here in this matchup, which John actually would have probably had a rough time into my team, honestly. But I'm really proud of how we played. We really pulled it out of the gates for this matchup. This was one of the most impossible matchups for me, but I'm very, very proud of how we were able to pull out the victory there. We're going to go ahead and get into the finals here, and we actually take on, you guys may remember him because he was from the JJDL finals recap video that we talked about, It is Coach Zombie, aka Mr. 64 Leagues at Once. You know, you know. And Zombie's team was actually not that scary to prep for, but it was definitely going to be interesting. He had Terrapagos, Torkoal, Spectre, Dragonite, Gardevoir, Brute Bondit, Muk, Pikachu, and Quagsire, with Terra Captain being improved on it with Dark and Poison. I was fully expecting a Poison Brute Bondit in this matchup, to say the least. And with that being said, let's go ahead and get into the matchup here. And he actually decides to bring the Dragonite over the Paradox version of Brute Bonded, which very much surprised me. I felt like we Dragonite had a very terrible matchup into my team, so I'm very interested to see what Zombie wanted to do with that. But looking at our team here, I have, I believe, a Lumberry Tusk. Yes, Lumberry Tusk, Scarf Flygon with Mix, actually, I think it was like attack boosted and stuff like that. So we had Giga Drain for that. A Life Orb Life Orb Weavile with Triple Axle. Um, I honestly probably should have went SD in this one, but I couldn't risk that. Syrup was Miracle Seed Modest. This thing just literally claims KOs against Zombie's team. He has such a hard time dealing with it. Assault Vested, Azumarill again. It was such a really good bring in this one, and we run with a no. I think it was Lumberry on this one. Was I double Lumberry? I think it was double Lumberry, possibly on this set. No, I think it was Assault. It might have been Assault Vest. No. It was Spin. It might have been Assault Vest. I don't remember. I literally just played the game too. Like I should already be knowing this, but it's whatever. And then I believe it was a Lumberry Necro to stop potential Spore, and I think it was Burn. I think it also could be something. No, it was Weakness Policy Necro. Never mind. I was right. It was Weakness Policy. So let's go and get into this matchup here. As we're going to leave our syrup here, I'm actually just go straight for the Sleep Storm here. And this definitely proves that this is definitely a max HP Torkoal. It is not heavily Spadef invested. It's definitely calm, but it does not have a ton of Spadef. So I've done the math with my head. I can actually go for a second Leaf Storm, which actually more than likely always kills Torkoal at this range, unless I get an absolute low roll and Torkoal lives. Terra Blast doesn't actually come close to knocking it out. And I have Terra Blast just to be able to hit the dragon. I wasn't really going to be there to hit the dragon. I was mostly able to hit something else. But it ended up working out that way. I go for the Leaf Storm, and I'm able to knock out Torkoal with Superior, which is really great here. In comes the dragon. I'm hard glaring this thing right away, and then it's actually going to get Paradise. We're going to go for a Terra Blast, break the multi-scale on it. He's going to go for the Ice Spinner here, as we are going to go for a Terra Blast, as he is going to be paralyzed because he went for the extreme speed that turn, which is very unfortunate for Zombie. I will say, if he was adamant, it was a roll to knock me out. But I think if he was jolly, he probably would have had to get a max roll to knock me out. But I do think he was adamant based off the damage I was seeing from the Ice Spinner. If he was jolly, though, he probably got a max roll in the Ice Spinner, and I would have probably most likely always lived the Extreme Speed here. He probably was predicting me to either swap out here or go for the attack here. I actually went for the aggressive play and go for the attack, going for Leaf Storm, getting the knockout there. Definitely took a big risk there. I'm going to protect, just going to show up my set basically. Now I go to Zoomer, which will always take a hit from this. This confirms that this is 100% a Spectre, and I have no switches to that thing. So I'm going to go ahead and actually go for the play rough here on the Quagsire here. I'm going to actually go into my Great Tusk now. And I definitely have some regrets here. I wish I had just gone for the Earthquake there or my spin. And the only reason I did not spin was I was afraid of letting that Spectre come in for free. The only regret I think I look back at this match now was not trying to spin. If I had tried to spin, I would have probably had a little bit more chance, and I would have had the speed raise, and I could have made some more aggressive plays. But they're going to actually go sack my Tusk off here, and I am actually going to go right into my Weavile, immediately go for that Trailblaze, get the speed raise, so now I'm faster than everything on their team, which is fantastic. But now here comes Terrapagos, and Terrapagos is actually going to prove more than likely to be our downfall here because you guys don't know what Terrapagos' ability does, Terra Shell. Basically, that very first move that you get hit by is a non-effective move. Basically, even if it's like close combat, it's considered not very effective. But we just found out a very strong mechanic for this Pokemon. Terra Shell goes through Triple Axle, which is insane. So basically, if you guys are wondering, Triple Axle, it breaks like multi-scale. So basically, it should do stronger and stronger each time. But since this was a first hit attack Triple Axle into the Terrapagos, every single hit theoretically counts as a not a very effective hit, and that, ladies and gentlemen, is probably what is going to cost us the game, as that's all I can do, which is very unfortunate. I have to now go straight into my superior here, and he actually reveals to be Scarf on the Terrapagos, which is very unfortunate there. They're going for another Terra Storm here, as I'm going to call mine in Morning Sun up here. And now I'm basically put in a very, very tough position. I am now forced to either click Heat Wave, because I know he's going to click Trick, or I could potentially go into my Azumarill, have a Scarf, but it doesn't matter, but it's basically going to die. So I actually decided to stay in here and actually click Heat Wave, as it's very neutral for the rest of their team. On +1, we get a very unfortunate miss with that Heat Wave, which is actually really, really big. And I actually let my Necro get a little too weakened down here. Obviously, if I was able to make that miss not happen, we would have had a shot here. But now I sack off my Rescue Rabbit. I go into my Flygon. I click U-turn. And I think right there that was definitely a major misplay. And I think that's the misplay that's going to cost me the game right there. I should have just stayed in and just Earthquake, because Earthquake probably would have picked this thing off. It would have beaten the Spectre guarantee. I think I have the calc maybe still open. Yeah. Real quick, Flygon to Terrapagos. Again, if it was, I think it's supposed to be Terrestrial. Earthquake. Well, Earthquake probably was a roll then, and depending on what it was, you know. So Earthquake would have only done 41 to 49, but I was adamant. Oh, it wasn't adamant. That's right, man. Well, it was still attack. It only would have done 41 to 49. So at that point in time, I still would not have been able to KO it. But what I should have done is I should have stayed in that form, and then depending what he would have done with this thing, which if he had Terra Starstorm, he would have just probably gone for that. But if he had Ice Beam, he basically would have gone for that. But again, I would have Terrored on that turn, 2 KO'd, if not OHKO'd this thing. But actually, no, I would not have, because I was not faster than this thing being Scarf. So actually, I definitely think I made the right play there. Actually, never mind. I did not expect Scarf Terrapagos, and the Spectre's going to knock me out with a Shadow Ball. And unless I get a crit here, ladies and gentlemen, it is not looking good for your hero. Do not crit, and with that, that is going to be GG over there to Zombie. And he's going to basically pick up a very narrow 1-0, basically 2-0 victory here. And it's really unfortunate to lose in the finals, especially after having to play so many tough matchups from, I don't think my first matchup was not bad. Like from Smasher, though Smasher was very insanely tough. Then into Draco, who had just an insane Sun team that I had just no answers to. But now into Spectre, this into this matchup, which I think was really good matchup here for us. We definitely just dropped the ball a little bit on some of the plays that we made, but it is what it is. But overall, I'm really proud of this team. And if you want my honest opinion, I think Zebstrika was the weakest link. Well, actually, I think Drifloon was actually the weakest link, followed by Zeb, and I think just barely Azu. I think actually was the next mon that we kind of did not do well with, honestly. I think that's my number 7 on terms of how I'm ranking these Pokemon. I would definitely say Drifloon number 9, Zeb number 8, Ozzy number 7. But I think it was just because I used Ozzy way too defensively, and I didn't try to be as offensive present as I'd like Ozzy being. And maybe the team just didn't synergize around that. But then just right after is Reboot, and Reboot only got that because he got 2 kills and actually performed very well. I think coming in number 5 for me is probably going to be Serp. Serp was still very, very good, but overall, it was kind of one of those mons that was kind of niche in this game. But it still provided very well. It could have really popped off for us in that Sun matchup if I had just brought the right ability. And these probably were my main 4 All-Stars of this entire season. I do think, though, I'm going to give number 4 just barely, and unfortunately to give it to Flygon. But Flygon really proved why it's a very good Terra Captain. And it also just proved why it's such a good Pokemon, man. It is just super strong, super reliant, just an overall strong mon. Number 3, I think I'm going to have to give it a Weavile. Weavile definitely provided a great show, and I wish I could use Triple Axle in my league with it, but unfortunately, I can't. So once I get access to access to Axle, get that access back to a Weavile, I definitely can start showing how strong this thing really is. And number 2 definitely was Necrozma. Necrozma's defensive viability was just super really good. It came in the absolute clutch being a defensive tank. I think a lot of defensive setup Necrozma, just defensive sets in general, are going to do so well this generation. Phenomenal. And honestly, God, guys, our best Mon was our first overall pick. Tusk really carried the team. Came in great for that first game. Came in fantastic for the Sun matchup. We very much unfortunate the train is going by. Holy shoot, that train. Hopefully that does not ruin my video. But with that though, Great Tusk was easily the best round one pick I could have asked for, and this proved to me that for one, I knew how to really use my team very well and how I have to play with it. But more importantly, it proved to myself that I can work with this Pokemon, and this Pokemon can fit my playstyle as a mon I love to build with. OGDL definitely did not give this mon the absolute joy that I needed to, but I saw the light with the booster speed sets, and I saw how I did well with a Showdown Live with it. I think it's about time that if I draft this thing again, I'm gonna know what I want with it, and I know what I want to do with it. So definitely something to look forward to in the future if you see me draft the Great Tusk. But with that being said, though, that is our run in the JJDL Speed Tour draft. Definitely leave a like if you haven't already subscribed, and please definitely go check out my friend John Jr. He definitely plans on doing more of these speed tours whenever he can. Hopefully, we'll actually have these B speed tours and not 4 hour long speed tours. But with that being said, thank you all for watching. And until next time, guys, I'll see you guys next time. Peace.